All right, everybody, this is Justin Wong from BASILISK, Science's own esports team, and we're here to, just teach you how to play some Streetfighter 6. We are in the lab, Professor Wazzler in the building right here. And as you can see on the screen, we're gonna show you Ryu, kind of like his move set, some of the stuff that he can do, and obviously talk about kind of like how you're supposed to play as him when eventually once you finish labbing yourself, you gotta go, to the field, play some matches, right? Before we do that though, don't forget, make sure you guys hit the like, share, subscribe, turn the bells for the notifications. Let's grow the BASILISK channels of social media, YouTube, and everything like that, because the more you do, the more content like this will come out. All right, let's get back into it. So obviously Ryu, amazing, great walk speed right here. There's a 6-button game, right? You have light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, and also from light kick, medium kick, heavy kick as well too, right? Ryu's a classic character. If you guys are familiar with Ryu, and probably you've seen him in multiple games, he will have the iconic 3 moves that you normally see him is with Hadouken, which is quarter circle forward punch, Shoryuken right there, right, which is a DP motion, or if you look at the keyboard, it's 6-2-3-6 motion, right? And you have the Tatsumaki Senpu, which is his classic hurricane kick, right? But also with Ryu, obviously this is from Street Fighter 1 all the way to Street Fighter 6. He has enhancements, he has new moves, right? And this is actually a move from Street Fighter 3, Third Strike. They call it the Gale kick, right? AKA, well, I guess back in the day, for some reason they named it the Donkey kick, right? So that's an iconic move that's coming back for him to have in Street Fighter, since Street Fighter 5 actually. And then he also has, I would say, another move that's kind of resonated from Street Fighter 3, but they actually kind of gave him as an install, which is a Denjin. If you hit down, down, punch, right, you get this Denjin install, and you see the electricity flowing from his fists and his body and everything. And if you throw a heavy punch version of the fireball, you get an enhanced Hadouken, right? Obviously, you see from the speed, you can kind of tell from here, if we're full screen away and I throw this fireball, you see how it's much slower, right? But if I do the Denjin install and I throw the light punch fireball, you see, you do not use it. You also see the icon right below Ryu's health bar to see that it's there, right? If you do medium punch fireball, it doesn't use it. But if you do heavy punch fireball, it sends it out like a cannon, just like that, right? And then you also have a brand new move that Ryu has gotten in this game. It's called the hashogeki, which is quarter circle back punch, right? And this is kind of like a hit version of his Hadouken, but just as a hashogeki. It's actually a very extremely strong move. You can really abuse this. You can go for a 2-in-1, if you do crouching medium punch into it, crouching medium kick into it, standing heavy punch into it, any button that's consider a cancelable normal, you're able to go into the hashogeki. And the best part about it is the hashogeki is actually safe from kind of any range, and if they block, even the heavy version, right, you actually can keep your offense going. So look at this. So right here, that right there, boom, you could keep you could attack afterwards. If they try to attack with a normal button or anything kind of that regards, you would actually win. The only time they can get out of that pressure is if they use some defensive moves, such as a reversal super or a reversal OD Dragon Punch, or even a drive reversal, which is kind of a mechanic in the game, right? So now let's talk about the OD moves. OD moves is you can do all the special moves, an enhanced version of it, and it costs 2 bars of drive gauge. You see the little 6 bars of drive gauge right below your life bar, right? You can spend 2 of it. So if you do quarter, let's say Hadouken, for example, right, which is quarter circle forward punch, but if you hit quarter circle forward 2 punches or 3 punches, right, you get an enhanced version, which is multiple hits, right? And you saw that from the blue bar, it spent 2 of your drive gauge resources. So you gotta be careful, because obviously EX moves are also powerful, but you need to be considerate with your just resource management, because you're obviously going to use the drive gauge. Just think of it as the drive gauge as your second life bar, right? Once you spend all of it, you actually put yourself in a burnout situation like that, and then you have to wait for the recovery process, and the recovery process for it is actually a very, very long time. You're kind of on defensive mode at that standpoint, right? And the thing about the drive impact, you're like, okay, well, if I just have to be careful using, EX moves, right? No, that's not the case, because if you hit heavy punch and heavy kick at the same time, you cost 1 bar for a drive impact, which is a strong mechanic that every character, is a universal mechanic actually, that every character has, right? And they can't really, like if they get hit by it, they get a full combo. If they block it at the corner, you get this wall splat, and then you also get a combo right here, right? Another thing is you could drive rush if you hold parry, right? Well, actually, let's talk about parry. If you press medium punch, medium kick at the same time, you tap blue, right? And this is how you parry like opponent's attack. And there's a perfect parry option as well too. But if you hold it, you can see your drive gauge slowly just depleting, right? And let's say if you're holding it and you want to get out of this position, you can just let go, or you can do drive rush, which is another universal mechanic where you see Ryu just kind of like dash forward, right? Every character can do this, and this is probably the most strongest thing in terms of offense in the game, because it just leaves you into situations where you can kind of take your turn back. You can push your offense as well too, right? So, and you can also even do combos, right? So let's say if we take out the guard, right? You could do any cancelable normal. You could go into drive gauge, you see, and you could get a combo. And even the frame data actually changes, which is kind of crazy. So for example, if you do standing heavy punch, you see that's +4 on that little kind of like a bar right below the bottom middle. But if I drive rush into it, I'm +8. So anytime you do a drive rush button, you add up to 4 frames. And I know the frames can be a little bit confusing, I would say, but think of it as like, it's kind of like simple math, where it's like 2 minus -3, right? So it's like kind of like that. You have to think about like that. So for example, the reason why you have this advantage frame, right? So this button right here, this is a 10 frame button, right? Ryu standing heavy punch. So if I do drive rush standing heavy punch, which gives me 8 frames of advantage, can I combo 2 standing heavy punches in a row like that? No, it doesn't work, right? Because the standing heavy punch is 10 frames. So I'm missing 2 frames to make it the combo. But what if I use a different button? What if I use a button that's like 8 frames and below after drive rush heavy punch? Will that combo? So let's see. So you have standing medium punch, which is 6 frames, right? So would that combo after my drive rush heavy punch will put me in +8 scenario? If you say yes, then you are correct, because it will combo, right? And look at this one. So standing medium punch is 7 frames. So does that? What can I do with a 7 frame? I could probably do 2 standing medium punches possibly. No, see, but the ranges. You gotta advocate about the ranges. So what can I do here? Can I do maybe standing light kick, which is 5 frames? No, that's not gonna work right there, right? And this is also 9 frames, so you can't really do anything from that scenario as well too, right? So the best thing you can combo after standing medium punch is actually canceling your normal into a special move. Like canceling your moves into special moves might be one of the hardest things to do with just in Street Fighter in general, because I think the concept of canceling about it, because most people when they do, like when I say do heavy punch into fireball, people will just do heavy punch, wait for the heavy punch to retract and finish recovering back into the idle state, and then do fireball. But the thing is, you have to think of them as both of them are the same. Like think of it as like that as one whole input, right? So you do standing, so you have to do it faster. So canceling, you see, you do like that. So you see Ryu just doing heavy punch and he's not even recovering yet, and then the fireball will still combo. That's called canceling. But there are links, right, where you can do this. For example, you see Ryu stand medium punch, it's +7, but the startup is 6 frames, right? So that means you have a 1 frame window to connect the second stand medium punch. This one, it's not a cancel. This one is called a link, where you just do tap, tap, right? And then that works, right? But then but the stand medium punch is cancelable, that means you can do tap, tap, cancel. So tap, tap, cancel. And that's how Ryu can get combos going. That's kind of the general combo flow with Street Fighter 6. So now, just with the basics, as you can see from the combos, you want to always have this frame meter to kind of tell you the number. So the number will tell you what will work and what will not work, right? And now, like, you obviously have the understanding of like what Ryu special moves does, what kind of like a little basic understanding of how combos work due to using the frame meter. Maybe let's try to jump into some matches. You know, I'm a little rusty with Ryu, but I want to try out Ryu since I haven't played him for quite some time, actually. Remember what I talked about? The hashogeki is definitely the move you want to use the most when it comes to Ryu, just because it's just such a really abusive tool. And you kind of want to abuse these type of moves like until your opponent can tell you that they can stop it, right? That's the most important part. Obviously, your whole goal is to do fireball, get the Degen installed safely, but the thing is you can't just really throw it out just in neutral, because if the opponent is able to read that and react, you will get punished. Obviously, you do have supers. I didn't really talk about supers. Every character has a level 1, level 2, level 3 in the game, right? And level 1 with Ryu, which is a Shinku Hadouken, right? Nice little combo. Obviously, with the Degen install, that will also buff it up. The hashogeki super is a one-hit super, which does a lot of damage. You could also hold it, right? But the problem is, like, even if you hold it, like, there's not many cases where you can hold it the whole way to get the max damage. And level 3 is Shin Shoryuken. Every level 3 puts you into an animation, unless you hit the level 3 weird, right? Like, if I hit Ryu's level 3 kind of in an awkward angle, let's say if they were jumping, for example, and I did like super late, you see, it'll look like that, because the first hit is the thing that causes that animation, that little kind of like spike, right? Okay, we got Ryu here. Obviously, Terry is also another good character. Oh, that's plus, yeah. You gotta be careful there. Go to hashogeki. Little combo, drive rush into him, right? Oh, he pressed a button though. Okay, now go back to the fireball game. There it is. Like this whiff punish as well too. Nice little throw right there. Yes, you see, you can kind of see how drive rush is kind of like the deciding factor for all this, right? Okay. Oh, I didn't get the Degen installed because he used the light power wave. Nice. You got a nice rising tackle. Oh, Shinsho, you can. Oh no! Yeah, jump back jab. That was a defensive jump back jab right there. That drive impact was scary because I was burnt out in that situation. So if I am burnt out and he hits me with drive impact in the corner, I actually get there's actually a full stun combo. Okay, throw a fireball right there. Yeah, called the bait because he kept going for that, right? Look at that, challenge him, press the button. He's not allowed to press the button when it's my turn. You see that? He keeps pressing buttons where he's not supposed to. Now I have level 3. I can kill him in one combo if I hit it, right? Just like that. Because the damage when you have level 3, it's just so much. It's just like at least like 50 to 60% of the health, especially when you have drive gauge resources to do drive rush, right? And even to do Shin Shuriken. And every time you do a button, let's say crouching medium kick, stand medium punch into drive rush, standing heavy punch drive rush, it does cost 3 bars compared to raw drive rush, which only costs 1 bar, right? Because I would say raw drive rush is harder to set up like that, right? It gives you vulnerability to get tagged, right? Compared to button where you're just kind of like stuck in there, right? Like you see that? He has to take that. He has to take that. He can't really do a reversal too much, right? Unless like I try to steal a turn. And the thing about this game, it's very cheeky for stealing turns, right? Like this, you see? Stealing turns, just like that, drive rush. It puts me in an invulnerable state where I can't block for a specific amount of time during my drive rush, right? Challenge, that's not a safe one. Obviously, special moves could be unsafe depending if they're spaced wrong, right? The hashogeki, look, that's plus. He keeps challenging. I'm doing it again. Yeah, puts me in juggle state. Yeah, I get it. Now I'm gonna do a double drive rush combo though. Just like that. See, I burn myself out, but the thing is, I know I'm able to burn myself out to finish the combo, to do level 3, because that's going to give me enough damage to end the round. So even if I put myself in burnout, I was able to win the round. So burnout doesn't even play in factor. And now maybe like you guys might be wondering like, what's up with burnout, right? Like how bad is burnout? Well, let's see if we get another game, and I'll put myself in burnout on purpose so you can see, because once you're in burnout, you don't have access to the drive resources. So no drive impact, no drive reversal, no drive rush, no drive parry, and no EX moves. So those are 5 resources all gone. That's also another penalty. If you are burnt out and you block something, the frame data changes to your block to your disadvantage. So think of it as like you're always in -2 every time you block something, which is kind of crazy, right? It is kind of crazy when you think about it. So Let's spend it. Let's spend it. Let's spend it. So now I'm burnt out. So anytime I block something and I press a button, I'll lose afterwards. So this is where I have to defend, right? I gotta defend, and now he's actually both burnout, right? So I can kind of like do kind of like hashogeki spam, like this, all day, because he can't challenge it. Even if he has to do a really risky like super or reversal. That's usually the case, right? Nice EX headbutt right there. Ooh, nice little combo. Nice combo right there for me. E. Ah, sumo headbutt. Okay, now we're burned out, right? So let's go. So I have to defend myself right here. And like I said, this is kind of like, even the animation, look at my arm is broken. Look at my arm from Ryu, right? So I can't really, I have to really take advantage of situations. So look, I have to block. If I do press a button, I can't even do it. I'm stuck in block stun because of just the amount of just negative frames I have in Burnout. And if you think about it, you want to be really nerdy about it. And that's what we do at BASILISK. Let's get nerdy about it. I started -2. Like, let's say I'm not in Burnout, right? We started 0. If I'm Burnout, I'm in like negative state. That means I'm always -2. So now we talked about how drive gauge, right? Anytime you drive rush, you're also +4. So if you do a if you do a normal where you're +4, right? Plus with -2, starting for me, and I'm in Burnout. What does that mean? That means the opponent has 6 frames of advantage every time, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because it's just so, it's so strong. Nice little super right there. It's so strong because then you can't really press buttons. You just have to know when to press buttons, when to challenge, and it's kind of like studying the book, studying the numbers game, right? Look at this right here. He's not trying to approach because he's trying to size me up for maybe a drive-in back in the corner, but I'm gonna get my drive gauge back. Oh, I missed it. He just made it. But the thing is, it's okay. I can afford this, right? And now, yeah, I get the drive gauge back, because once you get wall splat, take the stun damage, you automatically get your drive gauge back completely, or you can just refill it as kind of like, as you see the meter goes right there, right? And also, anytime you get punish counter, which is kind of like a really big counter hit state, that also attacks your drive gauge. Supers also attacks your drive gauge as well too. So there's lots of ways of attacking your drive gauge besides having your opponents having, you know, really good, bad, or great meter management in that scenario, right? Okay, yep, going for the fireball. But I'm burnt out. I'm gonna get my drive gauge back, as you can see. So now he can't take advantage, but he's low on drive gauge as well too. You see, look at that. Now he's burnt out, right? So now I have to get an opportunity right here. Yeah, but that's why he did super, because he was scared I was gonna attack his negative frames there, and he can't do anything. So he had to do a reversal super to send me full screen, and that's the mind games. But guess what? Professor Wazzler was able to see that through his calculations and punish him accordingly for it and win the game. But as you can see from these games, from this set, and these are just kind of these are also kind of matches that you play at like the highest master level. If you guys are starting out in like maybe like rookie, bronze, gold, silver, it will be definitely slower pace for you guys to kind of digest all this information that I'm telling you about, right? So every character has the same abilities as just drive rush and everything. Obviously the different speeds varies. Like Ryu has a great, you know, like I would say a little bit above average speed of drive rush, which is really hard to check. But other characters are super fast, and some characters have no range. So it, depending on the archetype of the characters, will determine your speed of drive rush. But drive impacts are pretty much built the same in terms of frames, right? Same for drive reversal. So those are, I would say, universally the same. And now let's talk about maybe a scorecard, right? Let's see, attack. I think Ryu's attack, let's say 8 out of 10, just because he has high damage. His attacks are really good, great normals and everything. But obviously he's not like crazy aggressive. He's still kind of like I would say a Shotokan, where mainly like in the history of Streetfighter, like he's kind of like a balanced fighter, right? But his attack, I would say Ryu's attack in general is pretty aggressive, pretty strong because of the hashogeki. Defense-wise, defense is always hard because he does have reversal supers, level 1, level 2, level 3, all work extremely well as a reversal get off of me super ODDP as well too. He has great counter poke buttons, so I want to give him a 8 there as well too. Speed probably a little bit on the slower side, not too slow, but definitely average speed. So we're gonna give him a 6. When it comes down to that viability, I feel like he's definitely one of the characters in this season to watch out for. In general, he's definitely, they buffed him since the first season of Street Fighter 6. So we're gonna give him an 8 on that, right? So far we got 8, 8, 6, 8. Comeback factor, ooh, comeback factor is a 9, I think, because his damage output is just that insane, and also the hashogeki, like I told you, that is the move to really focus on and learn and do when you're playing as Ryu. I would say that is also probably super high as well too. So I'm gonna give that a 8 as well too. So he has a score of 39 out of 50, right? But this is Justin Wong from BASILISK, Science's own esports team, Professor Wazzler here. If you guys did enjoy this content, make sure you guys hit the like, share, subscribe, turn the bells for notification, and let us know in the comments below what characters you want me to go through next, right? Because we want to release this once a week, possibly, and obviously the new patch of Season Street Fighter 6 will eventually come out, and then new characters will come out, and we gotta do those characters so you guys can go hop on rank, and maybe you guys can qualify for Capcom Cup. Other than that, Professor Wazzler is out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.